This is Vince Marino Plumbing LLC in Pittsburgh. Today's July 19th. On this particular situation, the owner tried to replace his hose. As you can see, these cheaper hoses from Home Depot and Lowe's, they have a pop metal nut that corrodes. And what happened was they almost twisted off the hose bib. So I'm going to replace this with a new one here. We're going to put a ball valve here and redo this. So, in the meantime, I'll have the finished product very shortly. We have the finished product here. As you can see, put some duct seal in here. That seems to be the best. That's the smoke alarm. And we're waiting for this to cool. So I move the valve out here so we can easily turn them off. So, you can see this piece of pipe here was really bent. I have the camera on. So it was ready to break off. If it was them, it probably would have. This is L. This is a quick video on my cell phone. Of course, the valve was no good. As you can see, this is where this country's gone as far as manufacturing. They're trying to conserve with pot metal. If you don't put grease on this, this will get bound on here. It's not going to come off. This is a Home Depot. Home Depot handles this. It says commercial grade hose. It's commercial nothing. This is pot metal and this is brass. Now you figure why this can't be brass and this can't be brass. This is where the plumbing code has gone. In our code, it has to have brass bolts for toilets and brass or copper, for water connections. Actually, galvanized is still in the code. It's legal to use, but I don't use it. Nobody does. But that's a pot metal connection. So we'll see here what happens. Now, while I'm in here, this expansion tank's horizontal. It's supposed to be hanging down or vertical up. Somebody was talking in Florida, I don't know the guy's name, I'm not going to refer to it, that he don't use a compression tank. This is a compression tank for thermal expansion. He claims the relief valve is better. Now, mind you, this is a 150-pound relief valve. This is supposed to go off if the pressure is excessive. These tanks fail because when they're installed, mainly most of them, the installer, the plumber, or whoever does, should be a plumber, doesn't pump this with air compatible to the static water pressure. You have to have these pumped up with the same air pressure as the water, or otherwise they will fill. These usually last, if they're installed correctly, the duration of the water heater, and they should be replaced when the water heater is replaced. So there's no need to install a thermal expansion relief valve. You got a relief valve right here. If this doesn't open, that means it's filled. The thermal expansion relief valve dripping every time this heats up on a closed system will cause high water spillage because it's going to leak. So that's on the thermal expansion. And other than that, these are supposed to be supported. Now you will need this if you have a backflow or high water pressure that creates a closed system. It is recommended to install these when you have a closed system. It doesn't matter whether you have storage or in, what do you call, tankless. In our code, they say for storage water heating you need this, but that's not so. because you have a closed system. There's expansion and contraction and everything, so you need this. And that's actually in the International Plumbing Code. You can refer to the International Plumbing Code. 23 states follow that. So we're going to get back to the hose bib repair. And we're going to see here what happens. This seems to be still warm yet. We're going to turn on this water. This is a slab construction here in Pittsburgh. There's a ball valve down there. We're going to turn on. And we're going to measure the water pressure. That's practice for me. Anybody doing plumbing should be checking the water pressure at any time they go into a house. Eye solder. If that was a Pro Press fitting, that would have destroyed and flooded everything out, because as you can see here, this solder joint was a good joint. It bent the pipe, not the solder. And this was L copper. So if that was a Pro Press, which today's plumbers like to use, that would have ripped right off and cost thousands of dollars of water damage by the time the guy realized where to shut the water off. Okay, so let's see what happens here. We're going to shut this off and turn the water on. So let's see what happens. I believe they got high pressure there. I'll be right back. We're going to set this right here. Alright, we're going to turn this back on. I'll tighten it. I keep my videos strictly to the work. I don't like to show so homeowners can do anything. No. We're gonna put the gauge on. As you can see, this customer has quite a bit of pressure, 100 pounds. And we're gonna run some hot water and see if it increases with thermal expansion when the tank's heating. Now, our code used to be 100 pounds was the code. Then they come out with a revised code and start realizing with the backflows and the closed systems, they dropped it down to 80 maximum. Now the water heater just kicked in. You can hear it. Now, this is how you test for thermal expansion. We got this open. So if this increases past 100, I'm getting my finger in there. We don't want the gauge to leak. The gauge gotta be tight. Okay. That'll fluctuate. You can see that it's going the other way now. We stopped the video. So he should have a regulator here. Okay, so in the meantime, this is a Marino Plumbing LLC in Pittsburgh. If you got any hose Bibb connection problems, thermal expansion, we touch base on that. Give me a call. You can go to Vince, Marino Plumbing LLC.com. Arrivederci.